making on the campaign. Now the little man a ball out in a pain. Small piece get crushed like nut and the stone, while the fat cats are chilling at the mansion home.
Back to the politics. How are you? I'm hoping you're doing well, but things are not very well in Kenya. With the situations, as people go on talking about what is happening and demanding for justice, asking for what has to be done, I hope that things will be well. Yesterday we saw a lot of protests, and at the end of the day it ended up very dark as vehicles were banned. However, it happens to be that there was a post, if you can see it quite well, that indicated this from Nyakundi. The banning of vehicles today in Nairobi CBD is part of a coordinated state operation meant to discredit the peaceful protest demanding justice of Albert Ojwang. This was not the work of genuine protesters. The number plates on the banned vehicles have been verified and found to be fraudulent. Do you hear that? Plate number KAR 936D was deleted from the NTSA system back in 2017. It originally belonged to a 2006 Isuzu lorry. Plate KBR 954G was removed from records in 2020 and was previously assigned to Analoki Line 14-seater Matatu. These vehicles were planted and torched to create a false narrative of chaos. It's a desperate attempt of the state to shift attention away from the real issue, Albert Ojwang's murder, and paint protesters as violent. Don't fall for it. So that was a post that was given by Nyakundi, just to make sure that people are aware of what's happening. Now guys, you remember, this is not a narrative that is starting today. All of us, if you've been in Kenya for long, you understand what happened during the protests by ODM. You understand there was a lot of, protesters who were beaten around because things had been banned. Yesterday, of course, Boniface Mwangi came up with the news that were quite worrying, He came up indicating that even if they want to arrest him, he's very free, he's not running anywhere. But he's very aware that what is happening in Kenya is when protests are organized to save the situation, like in the case of Ojwang, it was a real protest that was supposed to ensure that justice met, because after a very long while, abductions have been going on, killings have been going on, the loss of lives, so many. In fact, in a documentary that has been just released, we are sure of the documentary that has been released. I want you to see this, that in the 1,000 days of power, we've lost a lot of lives, and the exact number is 159 cases of extrajudicial killings, right? So in fact, the enforcement of disappearance now raises questions on the security leaders, whether the CS, whether the police officer, and alongside the president, because this is about 1,000 days in the government. So yesterday I did a live stream and I was just showing briefly what was happening in Nairobi. We were not quite sure of what was happening, and of course with the setting ablaze of the vehicles, as you've seen in the video, we were really surprised of what satirical, right? A promise not to have extrajudicial killings, and that 1,000 days down his leadership, no one would such situations, taxes would be low, and life would be so cool. So was this a tactic just to make him get into the office, or what was that exactly? Days have been running and people have been abducted all over, people collected by ambulances, motorbikes, and different ways. Young people after the protests were killed, and some, even though they came out, they have become hollow. This is a statement I've said once and once more, and I'll repeat as long as these situations happen. Now, the saddening situation is the NTV News, what was released in a report of 2024, that there is total killings and disappearance in 2024, with 159 cases of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, then 104 police-rated killings, and 55 enforced disappearances. So I'll be attaching here just in case you want to refer. Now, when you look at these situations, it tells you clearly that we have failed in terms of security. And citizens, no wonder yesterday they went to the streets to protest. And if there were any individuals who targeted peace, or rather justice, because they have been pressed, the wound has been driven so much that it can't stand anymore. It's better death than living in such a situation. That is what most youth have indicated. Now, it came out that during those protests, we found individuals who are burning vehicles, and the people were surprised. Why not? Why is somebody not trying to intervene? However, the folly situations of Kenya is like we are quite into the hair, the Ananse aspect, where we play trickery on everything. So possibly the individuals who are out to order for the death of Ojwang are downplaying the demands that justice be served and Lagat resigns. And of course, he's not going anywhere from what Murkomen has indicated. He cannot resign. And instead of that, they are sacrificing now individuals who are not quite paramount in this. Let's get to see the possible CCTV, or rather recordings that were done by the NGZ, and proving that this was neither there or there. It seems in this video, as you check, I don't know what you'll see. Let's look at it first and tell me what you can see. Yeah, so guys, if you are very keen and observant and to the details, you can see that guy there, the yellow one, no? And there is a sack also. Somebody brings a sack, and there is fuel possibly in that container. Do you think the people who went to protest would carry such items to the streets? Now look at the two vehicles that are standing there, and from the numbers indicated, of course we thank God that IT and the Gen Z are able to unravel all this narrative. So they brought about the numbers of these vehicles and indicated clearly that they are numbers which are non-existent. So what does this mean? So we saw the young people communicating there, and they are communicating actually carelessly, like one is trying to reveal that they shouldn't expose themselves so much and be trapped on the cameras. Another one is saying that she should not talk too much, and they should just go on. And then they pretend and shout that vehicles are being banned, we are banning up a vehicle. And we saw the matatu too, and of course nobody was worried. How long can it take for the police, for example, to arrive at such a scene and stop this from happening? If indeed these were people who are protesting and they are attacking vehicles, how long would it take for the police to be at this place and ensure that the vehicles are not banned? That when the fire was going on, as you can see from behind, as the fires were, sending havoc and setting ablaze the vehicles, did anyone try to approach these vehicles and stop? No. Why? This was a scheme, possibly. Now let's get to why many Kenyans feel that this was a trick. Remember, Mike Sonko was in government during the time ODM protests were so much in Nairobi. Now it happened that when he walked out of it, as we have always said, a bitter wife leaves, divorce happens, and they have to reveal the secrets. Yeah, so it came about that Mike Sonko revealed to us what normally happens. So let's hear this. If you forgot, I have that.
Wameanza kuchoma magari, isemekane ni mahasla wanachoma magari. Mimi nataka kutoboa niseme hivi. 2017 wakati kulikuwa na maandamano ya ODM, mimi na Kibicho na Deep State wale wengine na system tuliwenda kuprint t-shirts za ODM, tukanunua magari second hand kwa mashoro, tukazichoma huko Ngong Road. Ionekane ionekane ni ODM, kumbe ni deep state na system.
So guys, this time round these people were caught unawares. Possibly whatever schemes they were planning, they did not know that people were watching. They did not know that the agencies were a step ahead of them. They did not know that whatever plans they had would be unraveled before they could be. Fortunately, the faces of people who were involved in this fire ablaze thing were trapped. I don't know if they will be caught, because it has happened that after that long duration, up to now, nobody has been arrested over the protests. This is a trick to make the protesters look like they were, goons, and they were there to cause that was not necessary. Again, remember it was budget day, a budgetary day. Yeah. And you've seen the CS coming out to defend the budget and say it was the best. I don't know how best it is. Remember recently there was a young lady, Jerry, was it? She was arrested at took some time at Central Police Station because she had been trying to educate people on what the budget is all about. Now let's look at this budget. As far as we are being told that it's a friendly one, no taxation, taxes are hidden for sure. From the current payment of tax, we are paying almost, 21, about there, the tax from our salaries. Now it's going to be raised up to 43%. Just check for evidence. This is something that has come out and people are already aware. Now let's look at the aspect of internet, Now, from the arguments, it was that external forces that come to invest in Kenya, they're using internet much, and the content creators and what have you, and therefore they have to pay tax through that. I wonder, already last year we saw the raise on the internet. If you've been using bundles, you understand that it came out to be a serious matter, with the bundles running so fast. And there was something on electricity. Now, here again, we are going to have a raise in the tax on internet in the name of making sure that content creators are paying for it. I don't know whether it's a way to ensure that those who are posting, as we were focused to talk about Ojuang in this discussion, people like bloggers, many people currently have employed themselves and they are doing side hustles on internet, whether it's creating content, whether it's teaching, edutainment, and all that. Influencers, of course, one step was to make sure that they have banned the issue of marketing, gambling. Yeah, of course, it was affecting many. Of course, looking at the Madhabahu TV and the rest of them were fraudulent. Why couldn't they be investigated so that they are the ones to be closed down while the rest continue with business? Looking at what Obina shared the other day and other influencers, it's clear. Yeah, Mlamwatu, we understand that this is a critical aspect that is affecting a lot of businesses. Now, that is what is going to happen. Now, just check briefly at what Bado says here after being raised from ODM to the CS of Finance. And now everything looks flowery because nobody had time to concentrate on the budget. With the protests in town, everybody focused on protests and everybody was streaming that, and no one was concerned about the budget. So it has just caught us unawares, and we are going to see that if, for example, 5% has been placed on grains, what does that mean for a common citizen? What does that mean? Yeah, 5% on grains. Who doesn't use grains in Kenya? That's the question. So let's just look at this aspect of why has the president not actualized what he promised the citizens. Yeah. Now, looking at the case of the police inspector Lagat, he's the deputy and he was the complainant in this. Unfortunately, we have not seen this complaint, all of us as Kenyans, and you can bear witness that I'm not just giving hearsay. See from here. This is what was shared among the analysts in a TV station today.
Of these police officers, all the way from Kingaju, because You know, I usually say garbage in, garbage out. If you put in people and you train them on the worst curriculum, then they will not do anything better outside here. And this head starts rotting from the top. You cannot come and tell us you have arrested one Juana, police constable at Central Police. This guy Albert, the late, was picked from a complaint. Up to now, Trevor, we have not been told what type of complaint was it like. No one has given us a screenshot. With this digital era, Trevor, if I post something today, in the next second, someone will have a screenshot of it. Do you have a screenshot of whatever Albert posted?
They say that he alleged that the DIG is corrupt.
He alleged. The allegation must be proven. Can the DIG show us the screenshot? Because I believe when he went to make a complaint, Trevor, he must have had a screenshot to go.
So then if I have to ask you, do you think the arrest of Mokwana and the resignation, or rather the sacking of the many police who were sacked here, was right? Or is it a sacrificial aspect just to make Kenyans believe that something was going on? Unfortunately, it seems that this guy was beaten to death and brought or booked in at Central Police when he maybe have been dead or extremely dead. No wonder Murkomen is talking about mob, you know. Yesterday I was surprised when I heard that statement from him, because I was wondering, what about the mob, you know? When you're talking about this, and there are specific officers who went up to the home of this guy in Homa Bay and introduced themselves to the father and picked this man. Why are they not being mentioned here? Now, Lagat is a complainant. Why is Murkomen avoiding to mention him? Instead, they want to sacrifice the police officer here. And of course, Mokwana has already been sacrificed, plus others who have been sacked. Obviously, that's what happens. There has to be a sacrificial lamb in the process. There has to be a way to silence the citizens and make them believe that something is going on, when in truth, there is a cover-up happening. So, Deputy Inspector Police seems now to be, you know, unnerving, or rather untying the rope from his neck after he was thrown under the bus by everybody. And from speculations, they say he has lots of money. And they always say in Kenya, money oils palms. Dirty, clean, and rough, soft, textured, and all that. Yeah. So possibly that's what is going to happen, that he will be scot-free as the other sacrificial lambs go down. I don't know up to now whether the police officer of Central Police has said anything, because he said he wouldn't go down alone, he would say something. But we don't know. Kenya is Kenya. Yeah. The Luo people say Kenya Marua, meaning Kenya has a lot of palaver, or rather it is a difficult nation to deal with. Remember, justice delayed is justice denied. So there is justice being delayed for this family of Ojwang, and nothing is being said. In fact, we've not had anything to do with the compensation, the aspect that someone is sorry, not yet. And whoever called for his arrest is possibly going to be loose very soon. What does this tell Kenyans, the rest of the young people? What does it tell them? What does it tell them? So see what Boniface said here. So guys, I don't know whether it comes down to understand how complex situations are in Kenya. No wonder we say life is unfair in Kenya sometimes. The sagas that are hidden in there. 159 cases of extrajudicial killing in 1,000 days Ruto has been in government. Can you imagine that? Now, Ojwang's case was the extreme that has pushed citizens into demanding for justice, even some politicians talking. And now it's being pushed. With the fire ablaze in town, it seems that people wanted to show that Gachagua is behind this. That is the narrative. Now, see what Gachagua said at once. And people are like, we wish we would have listened to him, because he's indicated that there was a shooting squad that is targeting people who are specifically attacking the leaders, or rather any corrupt individuals, so that they are not being talked about anymore. Yeah. So this is what Gachagua said, and currently now people are like, we wish we would have listened. I don't know if they would have listened then what.
Concerning crucial government policies.
Yes.
Of the National Intelligence Service, Nurdin Haj, was a junior officer in the National Intelligence Service before he was appointed as DPP. When he was appointed to the office of the Director General, because of inferiority complex, he chased away all the people who were senior to him when he was in the service, therefore crippling the capacity of that service and making it dysfunctional. 3 directors were chased away. He cannot take criticism, and the reality of one term is slowly sinking into him, that has sent him into serious desperation, that he has now formed a killer squad of his sub-ethnic community of the Nandi to deal with leaders, stating that the opposition country from Western Kenya, Coast Province, Northeastern, Nyanza, including his native North Rift and South Rift. Members of the Kalenjin community are also up in arms because of the misuse of public resources, mismanagement of the economy, and the fact that there is no work going on in this country. The former DP.
So guys, if we take the narrative of Boniface Mwangi telling us that we have particular people who are the goons who have been hired by the government to cause, chaos that are beyond expectation, to make whether international bodies or internal bodies see that the police are rightfully using too much force, justify the killing of Ojwang, possibly make the mercy, or rather that sympathy that was directed towards Ojwang be sympathy towards the police. Does it look like it is to prove that the president is right to be quiet and let the IG work his way? To prove that young people are so aggressive and they need to be killed instead of being spared and taken to court? So you saw when it was set ablaze, of course, people will be emotionally driven and say, oh, if this is what these young people are doing, then they deserve death. Yeah, so when you look at what happened there, it is going to justify the narrative that young people are too aggressive and they cannot be handled otherwise, and the police have no other way than killing them. Now, when you look at the narrative of Gachagua is telling us that there is a force particularly formed, and he's pointing at the boss, that the boss formed it particularly to handle those who will be against the government. And of course, if Lagat has had these corrupt ways of acquiring wealth, then he's just part of the leadership. Yeah? And maybe who knows what he wants for tomorrow. So he's part of those who want to kill so that they escape the wrath. I hope I'll be safe tomorrow. Yeah, so many people have come out, and I think the current Gen Z are informed, and even with the internet, all of that, people know what is happening. It's only that they can't handle it and constrain it so that it does not spread. It has been going on for too long, and I think in 1,000 days, people are already tired. So we pray that things change. What do you The budgetary analysis, you saw the committee in a TV station, and one of them was very sure, clarifying that the prioritization of allocation of money is a problem. Quoting a lot of money going to something that is not a priority, while other sectors that need a lot of money are given less. So that is another deficit in the budget that we need to think of. What do you think as a citizen? What should be done? Is it us to act, the government, our president whom we rely on, international bodies? Who do we wait for? For them to rescue us? And will Albert Ojwang receive the justice he deserves now that it's being delayed? Adios. Let's meet again in another analysis. Bye-bye.